use them as political weapons. But it doesn't seem to be the case after reading this article and listening to other people who seem to understand, where he's coming from, former White House officials and so forth. He actually does believe these conspiracy theories. And that to me is really alarming.
Yeah. Here, I think I pulled up this article here. The president is also awash in an often toxic torrent of sluices into his Twitter account, roughly 1,000 tweets per minute, many intended for his eyes. Tweets that tag his handle at Real Donald Trump can be found with hashtags like hashtag Hitler did nothing wrong, hashtag Islam is Satanism, and hashtag white genocide. While filters can block out offensive material, the president clearly sees some of it because he dips into the frothing currents and serves up noxious bits to the rest of the world. By retweeting suspect accounts seemingly without regard for their identity or motives, he has lent credibility in the past to white nationalists, anti-Muslim bigots, and obscure QAnon adherents like VB Nationalist, an anonymous account that has promoted a hoax about top Democrats worshiping the devil and engaging in child sex trafficking. This guy, VB Nationalist, literally he says in the replication, I've been tweeted by the President of the United States, President Trump. Imagine. Tell me again how he doesn't care about us. He gained thousands of followers after this high-level boost and took it really as a sign of encouragement there. Fake accounts tied to intelligence services in China, Iran, and Russia directed thousands of tweets at Trump, according to a Times analysis of propaganda accounts. Iran operatives tweeted anti-Semitic tropes saying that Trump was being controlled by global Zionists and that pulling out of Iran's nuclear treaty would benefit North Korea. Russian accounts tagged the president more than 30,000 times, including in supportive tweets about the Mexican border wall and his hectoring of black football players. Trump even retweeted a phony Russian account that said, "We love you, Mr. President." Yeah, so that's a very interesting just check out his relationship with Russian bots and all that stuff. So yeah, if you ever get the chance, want to be thoroughly disturbed and worried about his, and also probably get a few laughs, but also be disturbed and worried about the president and what he's doing on that Twitter account of his, you can definitely go check that little interactive bit there from the New York Times. All right, we're going to shift gears now to the 2020 race. Pete Buttigieg had an interesting quote today. In an interview to be broadcast on Showtime on Sunday, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, said the race is getting to be a two-way between him and the Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. According to a new ABC News Washington Post poll, however, he's got a little bit of work to do. He's in fourth place in a four-strong pack of clear Democratic leaders in the presidential field. Obviously, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Pete Buttigieg. What do you make of this comment here that he seems to have a little bit higher of an opinion of himself than what is reality?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's a little funny too. But he is surging in Iowa. I mean, maybe not nationally. I think nationally he's still like 9% or something. But in Iowa, he's up there with the big boys. And if he wins Iowa or comes in second, if he has a really strong showing there, that could catapult him into the rest of the primary. So his comment, while being a little frivolous, might not be that far off the mark. He's definitely in the mix.
Yeah, he is in the mix, but it is, counting out Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, I think, at this point would be kind of foolish. But I think it's definitely interesting to see what's been happening recently in the attempt of some media outlets to kind of make him look like the next Obama with 0% black voter support. I've definitely heard some MSNBC anchors talking like that, and I think it's just very, very, very interesting because, I think probably right now Elizabeth Warren is kind of moving into the, because she seems to be the first choice, I guess you could say, of the, probably the most viable choice of the establishment, with Joe Biden kind of going now on the downhill more obviously now. But I think they would also be a little bit more happy if Pete Buttigieg as well, because he's definitely more safer than someone like Elizabeth Warren, who still does have that pretty strong streak of anti-corporate beliefs in her. So that stuff is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. But yeah, a world where we're getting somewhere is that world where it's coming down to the two of us, he says. So I think that's just pretty insane. So the full poll has Biden leading with 28%, Warren 23rd, and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders 17, with Buttigieg on 9%. So it's a pretty big difference. And I think, again, there's polls that pretty much flip them, but Buttigieg never, I don't think, gets beyond fourth place. It's like Bernie, Warren, and Biden have been kind of trading places in various polls. So, yeah, and Iowa there definitely is really going to be important. But I don't know. It's what is your opinion on the Buttigieg candidacy as a whole?
Well, he's more of a centrist Democrat, and I think his kind of politics will play well in the heartland. Once he comes east, New Hampshire is probably going to go to Bernie, and South Carolina is probably going to go to Biden. And so how Buttigieg performs in Iowa is pretty critical for his campaign. If he wins it, that could make him show better in the next couple of primaries, and at least keep him in the race. But it looks like he's going to be in there, and even if Biden doesn't win the Iowa or New Hampshire, if he does a reasonable, if he comes in second or third, reasonably well, which I think he will, and if he can survive until South Carolina, then that will probably, catapult him into Super Tuesday. So it looks like a really fascinating race with so many candidates in play here. And one of the striking things that I read was that Democrats are not wedded to any single candidate. Half of Democrats say they could switch their allegiance to another candidate. So it means that it's a strong field. The appeal of this field is pretty broad across Democrats, and this is why I think that a strong Buttigieg in Iowa could make people, change their vote, because people like to vote for the front runner.
Yeah, and I definitely find that interesting that no one really has secured their candidate. And we are kind of getting a little short on time here, so I do want to ask you, have you picked your candidate yet for the 2020 race?
I'm sorry?
Have you picked your candidate yet?
No, I haven't really. I haven't. I mean, I kind of like Warren's politics, but I don't know how. What worries me is how she's going to play in swing states, purple states, because she's so far out on the left, and those are the critical states that the Democratic candidate needs to win in order to win the presidency.
I mean, I don't know. I think a real working class message, where especially in the heartland, will play better than anything else, especially if it's coming from someone who I think Bernie and Warren, they both would be able to play pretty authentic pro-working class messages, and they can defend their positions pretty well. I think Bernie obviously a little bit better under scrutiny, but still, that's definitely interesting. It's going to be a wide open race, and I'm sure we'll have many discussions like this in the future. That's all the time we have for today. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to have you back, and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Spencer.
All right.